All right, Bears fans, the news of the day in the NFL, Deebo Samuel has requested a trade. So before we explore this idea, what do you guys think? Should the Bears trade for Deebo Samuel? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Get your votes in, and with that being said, we'll break this down. You're watching Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. We got some Deebo trade buzz to break down. Plus, later on in the show, we're going to take a look at day 2 of voluntary minicamp. Some news and notes coming out of that, so stick around for that as well. But the headliner of the day, Deebo Samuel, has requested a trade from San Francisco. There's been, weird buzz and chatter for a couple of weeks. Then last night, his brother basically said, yeah, we're requesting a trade, and lo and behold, he's requested a trade. Jeff Darlington broke the news earlier today, saying that he spoke to Deebo and that he told me he has asked the 49ers to trade him. He did not want to discuss specifics behind the request, but has let the organization know of his desires to leave San Francisco. More to come. Ian Rappaport also mentioned this. Some potential teams that would be in the mix for the 49ers superstar wide receiver. He also said that the Niners have been aware of Deebo's feelings for a while. This is why there's been no talks. The Jets, Chiefs, Lions, Packers, and others have been linked. He didn't mention the Bears, but he did say, hey, any team that wants good players should be interested. Look, let's be honest. The Bears are going to be lower on the totem pole compared to other teams because they have less capital to work with. No first-round pick this year, only 6 draft picks in total, and it's not like there's a ton of strong player assets they can trade unless San Francisco wants Jalen Johnson or something like that. But are the Bears going to trade their top corner? I don't really think that's realistic either. So we'll explore the possibilities. We'll talk about how he could fit. Just know, compared to other teams, it's going to be a little harder to trade for Deebo if you are Chicago. I'll tell you this, if the Bears do trade for Deebo, we're going live. If they make any trade, we'll break it down on a video for you guys. That is one of many reasons to subscribe. Other reasons, daily videos. It's free, breaking down the latest news, rumors, live Q&As. NFL draft is almost here. Some more draft coverage as well. Hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Let's talk about Deebo Samuel, the football player. Obviously, he's fantastic. Had a career year last year in his 3rd NFL season. 77 catches, over 1,400 yards. Caught 6 touchdowns, averaged over 18 yards a catch. Really good route runner, really good after the catch. An element he displayed last year, too, was his rushing ability. Kyle Shanahan found ways to use him out of the backfield with 56 carries, 365 yards, and 8 more touchdowns on the ground. We know Luke Getsy. We believe he's going to incorporate some of those Shanahan type of schemes into this Bears offense. I would obviously love to get Deebo in Chicago. I think he's one of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. He's still young. Justin Fields could certainly benefit from having a superstar talent like Deebo Samuel to help himself become a superstar quarterback in this league, I should say. Deebo could certainly help him do that, but for the reasons I mentioned, it's obviously going to be a little more difficult compared to other teams. You look at what you have at receiver, obviously Deebo could step in and be an upgrade there over pretty much everybody. Deebo could be your 1, Darnell Mooney could be your 2, Byron Pringle becomes your slot guy primarily, which I expect him to do a lot of anyway. Obviously, you add Deebo, and that's your trio, you're feeling pretty good at the wide receiver position. Now, you look at the draft picks Chicago does have. You got 2 seconds, you got a 3rd. I mean, could you trade all 3 of those for Deebo? I still think the Niners probably say no. I think that they're going to want more, a first-round pick and then some. That's what I'm asking for if I'm San Francisco. That's what I believe the last 4. They're going to want at least a first-round pick, which obviously the Bears don't have in 2022. Now, could they trade a future first or multiple future firsts, 23 and 24? I wouldn't trade 2 future firsts, but could you trade 1 or 2 picks this year and a first next year? I suppose that could be an option, but just know that the 49ers are going to get strong trade offers, probably bigger ones than Chicago. But we'll ask you this. Would you trade next year's first-round pick for Deebo Samuel? I checked right before we filmed this video because I put this poll out on Twitter, this exact question. Would you trade a first next year to get Deebo? Get your votes in. T for trade, P for pass. It was about 50-50. Half of you guys would do that. The other half said, no, I want to focus on this draft. Could go either way. Let me know what you guys think. Speaking of the draft, We're 8 days away. We're going to be live for all 7 rounds on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Link is right there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Round 1 on a Thursday, April 28th. Rounds 2 and 3 on Friday the 29th. And then 4 through 7 on the 30th. We will cover every single pick on our main channel. Go subscribe and join us over there. And yes, we'll be live here on Bears Now from time to time as well. Probably for sure in the second round when the Bears have 2 picks. So tap in for that as well. Okay, let's get into some news and notes from Halas Hall today. Day 2 of voluntary minicamp, a 3-day camp that started yesterday. It will conclude tomorrow, and then as Matt Eberflus said earlier today, that's when they'll really kind of ramp up their draft focus in terms of finalizing their big board and all of those sort of things. All right, my first takeaway from today, because David Montgomery and Roquan Smith met with the media as well. Montgomery's focused on 2022. Contract year, obviously there's some chatter out there about is he going to get an extension, is he not? He says he's locked in, he's focused on learning this new offense, said this earlier today, quote, "I've still got to play football, and I've still got to perform." That's the mindset you have to have when a new coach comes in here. They don't owe you anything. They didn't draft you. I think Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus value David Montgomery, but at the end of the day, this is a running back. If Montgomery doesn't go out there and ball out, they will have probably very little issue than just letting him walk this offseason. So it's up to Monty to prove that he's worthy of a second contract year. This is a huge year for him. There is no doubt about it. He's shown some really good things in his career in Chicago, but he's been nicked up a little bit at times, and, running back shelf lives aren't what they were, 5-10 years ago necessarily. Teams move on rather quickly. So I think Montgomery understands, hey, I got to prove that I'm worthy of being this team's back for the foreseeable future. What do you guys think? Should the Bears extend David Montgomery? Type E for extend him, or type W for wait, as in, hey, wait, see how this year plays out, make a decision after this upcoming year. I would probably go that route because as much as I love Monty, unless he goes out and rushes for 1,400 yards, I'm not breaking the bank for him. I'll bring him back, but I'd have a certain cap price to do so. So I would wait, but let me know if you'd like to extend him down in the comments. All right, storyline number 2 from minicamp. Eddie Jackson returns. He was at Halas Hall. Everyone freaked out yesterday. Eddie Jackson, he doesn't care about football. Why is he not at voluntary minicamp? Well, neither was Robert Quinn. Neither was Al-Quadin Muhammad, who signed in free agency. A lot of veteran defensive guys weren't there yesterday. Jackson returned. Muhammad returned. It's okay. Take a breath. Eddie Jackson was there at Halas Hall getting in some of these non-contact reps today. And Matt Eberflus told us yesterday, guys, not a big deal that some of these guys aren't here. It is voluntary. Now, on the flip side, it's new regime. You want to show that you care. You want to, show that you have something to prove, and I do think Eddie Jackson has a lot to prove. He signed that big contract after 2017, 2018, whatever it was. In the last 2 years, he hasn't lived up to it. 2018 and 19, he was really good. 2020, 2021, he was a bit underwhelming. I think this is a big year for him as well, kind of like David Montgomery. If those two guys, have disappointing years, then they could both be off this roster in 2023. All right, let's talk a little Roquan Smith. He met with the media as well. Talked about a variety of things. I think it's clear he's taken an even more advanced leadership role on this football team, especially now that Khalil Mack is gone on the defensive side. He talked about his excitement for this defense, and obviously he's already a great player. Had a good year last year with 163 tackles, but naturally he was asked, hey, what are some of the differences? What's it going to be like playing, with Matt Eberflus, this 4-3 scheme compared to 3-4? And the word that he used over and over again was speed. That's the impression of this new defense, and that's what Matt Eberflus has preached since he's taken this job. We're going to be fast. We're going to be explosive. We're going to rally to the football. Those are things that he's talked about quite a bit since he's taken over as this football team, and that's what he did in Indianapolis. The Colts didn't have the most talented defenses, but they got a lot of turnovers because they got to the ball, they punched it out, and that's what he's going to be preaching here as well. And Roquan, as the best defensive player, needs to take that on full steam ahead and emerge as even more of a leader. He kind of was that already, but I think he needs to take another step forward in doing that, and it sounds like he's doing just that. So I think that's a positive sign moving forward. And unlike David Montgomery, which that extension could go either way, whether or not it happens, I think with Roquan, it's 90+%. You're going to extend him at some point, ideally before this upcoming season, as he's set to enter free agency next year. Now, which unit will be better in 2022? Type O for the offensive side of the football, type D for the defense. It'd be nice if it was the offense, because I still think the defense will at least be decent this year in 2022. Hopefully that offense takes a jump. Curious to see where you guys weigh in on this one. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll have another video tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Until then, we'll see you.